Hello. I'd like to talk about David Berkowitz. Who is that? Son of Sam. You know, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He would have been better off being found guilty because he would have got a 25 sentence and his time would have been up and he would have gone home. Because he got let go on reason of insanity, he's locked up in an insane asylum for the rest of his life. Uh, I don't believe he was at fault for what he did. I believe he did what he did. I'm not questioning whether he's guilty or not in the sense that he did it. Yes, he did it, but he did it under extenuating circumstances. Um, he was mentally ill. He's schizophrenic. Now, yes, what he did was heinous. Yes, the poor people that he killed didn't deserve to die. Nobody's going to argue that. But we let other murderers out that kill even more people when their time is up. Now, I understand the headline, you know, freeing Son of Sam. That's going to be where Son of Sam goes home. Or, I don't know. I'm not going to write the headline, but you get the idea. And the politicians, it's a hard pill to swallow. And he's really locked up more politically than he needs to be schizophrenically. I'm sure he's no danger to society now. He's under treatment. He's on the meds. Uh, I don't believe he would hurt another soul. Uh, I think he would have a hard time simulating back into society. That I agree. People would find out who he is and know who he is, and he'd have a sort of fame, which could be a killer in itself. But it's just what gives us the right to lock him up forever uh, when he was found not guilty? Yeah, and I understand that if treatment and medication mean nothing, then why give it to anybody? And we don't lock up all schizophrenics. We don't do that. I'm not schizophrenic, but it's just uh, we don't do it. We might lock them up for a little while and get them medicated and get them situated with a doctor and a therapist and stuff like that, and housing or something. They get benefits, but they can't work. You know, they'd have a very hard time finding a job if the job ever found out they were schizophrenic. So they don't want them around their customers or dealing with their products. So it's very difficult for a mentally ill person to get a job. It's not that they can't work; they can't get real jobs. And being delegated to cleaning toilets is not a job. It's not a future. It's not a life. So I'm not putting down people that clean toilets, but and some janitors make very good money. They make very good money. But I don't believe that if you have a mental illness that you're delegated to be a janitor. You know, and I think it would be hard for you to get a job as a janitor if you're mentally ill. Uh, I understand why mentally ill people aren't forced to work, and that's what they want to do. They want to you're forced to work. Everybody's forced to work. You act like you have a choice. You act like you go to work because you want to. Yeah, decide not to go to work. See what happens. Call your wife up and say, "I'm not going to work anymore," and see what happens. She's gonna be like, "Well, you got to work to pay the divorce lawyer." So I believe it's not gonna work out in your favor. And that's because again, back to my older videos, uh, you're a quarter horse. You're you're broke. You know. So you're worried about the meal at 3 o'clock, and nothing else. And when you're mentally ill, yeah, it's weird because you're a quarter horse and you're a stallion in the middle. You're in the middle of both, 'cause when the stallion part of you comes out, they want to medicate you. They want to lock you up, bring you back to quarter horse status, which I believe Son of Sam or David Berkowitz, I should call him, because that title is what's keeping him in jail. Son of Sam is what's keeping him in jail or keeping him in the psych ward. If he was David Berkowitz, he would have been released a long time ago. And you freed Brittany, you can free David, and you know, everybody was afraid of David, and they should be afraid of schizophrenia, but they shouldn't be afraid of David. David's been dealt with. His schizophrenia has been dealt with, and I think it's time to let him go. Look, they'll never let him go 100%. He'll always be on like lifetime parole or lifetime probation in a sense through the mental health world. I mean, the mental health world is like the mob. Once you get in, you can't get out. You know, they keep you medicated. You don't take your meds, they lock you up. You don't go to your doctor's appointments, they lock you up. So uh, it's really a harsh reality. It's my reality. I'm on a court order to take meds. I have uh, court ordered doctors and court ordered nurses, and I don't pay for my meds. I don't pay for anything because it's all court ordered. And and it makes them feel better. That's why they do it. It makes them feel better. Oh, what'd you do? We gave them meds. you know, and that's what they want. It's like they don't care that you're gonna die from the meds, and the meds are killing you. Um, it's like uh, TB, tuberculosis. When they do that little TB test and it comes up positive, you're forced to take medication to cure the TB. That sounds fine, but the medication kills you. Uh, so, uh, so which is worse, the disease or the cure? That's debatable. But they court order you to take the TB medication so you don't spread it throughout society. And they don't care that it kills you. Uh, it's a lesser of two evils, I guess, in their eyes. You know, they'd rather you die of TB than 100 other people die from you. You know, so they rationalize it, they justify it, and it's all masturbation. Rationalization is masturbation. Um, but you know, it's just, I think he needs a break. I think he deserves a break. He hasn't reoffended. He hasn't been a problem in the psych ward. I've heard that they did put his name up for being released because he's doing so well. And uh, I think everybody deserves a second chance. And I don't think he's going to kill anybody again. He's going to be well watched, well maintained. I mean, look, anything's possible. And if it did happen that he was in a self-defense situation, he probably wouldn't go down that way. That's the problem with being mentally ill. It's very hard to go down in self-defense because they just say you were delusional, and it wasn't self-defense after all. So, but let those cookies crumble as they may. But